Come with me to a magical place where being labeled the pork queen is a compliment, where being nice is just a way of life, and where all leaders of the free world must pass through. Welcome to Iowa. Whether you're a current Iowan, an Iowa expat, or an Iowan at heart, this show is for you. This is the Iowa Podcast. Real Iowans, real talk, no drama. If you like music, well, this is your time. This is your time, Iowa. 8035 is this weekend, and joining me today is the executive director of the whole shebang, Andy TeBockhorst. Andy, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Justin, thank you so much. We're happy to be here. We're excited for this weekend. It's festival time.
It is festival time. It's a big, I've kind of forgotten just how freaking big it is. It's huge. So we're gonna now. Here's the tragedy of events like this is so much time goes by, and some people who kind of don't know what it is, like don't really re-explore how it's changed. So can you give us just an overall breakdown of like 30 seconds, like elevator pitch, for those that don't know about what 8035 is? And then I have a lot more questions, of course.
All right. The 8035 Music Festival, it's 2 days of live music and all kinds of other stuff. It is quietly one of the largest nonprofit music festivals in the nation. We're going to have, this year, we will have 5 stages, more than 40 bands. It starts this Friday afternoon and goes all day Saturday. And so a day and a half, 2 days of great music. We are live this year at Waterworks Park for the first time. And we have all kinds of really cool stuff planned.
Oh, this is the first time for Waterworks, really?
It is. This is our 15th edition of 8035. And for all of those, it has been downtown in the downtown area, either Western Gateway Park or, around that point for 15 years now. But we're moving. We moved it to the Waterworks Park, and we're really excited about what this does for the festival and how we have room to grow. We have room to do things we never had room to do before. I think a lot of people loved it downtown. I did. I never missed one in all those years, and it was so cool sitting there watching the bands with the skyline in the background. We had to move it this year because of construction and some stuff that's happening downtown, but really we were outgrowing that area anyway, and it looks like we've found our new home, and Waterworks has become just this awesome music venue, and so it's really lining up really great.
So it was mostly a construction concern that moved it then?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, it was expensive to put it on downtown too.
I bet.
Closing all the streets, and we had some pushback from businesses downtown. They don't love it when those festivals happen down there. And there were just a lot of reasons why it was becoming really difficult to do something this big down in that area. But yeah, initially the move discussions started really 2 years ago because they were planning a lot of work in that area. And we just knew we physically weren't going to be able to do it this year. Yeah,
I think a lot of people don't understand that when there are these giant events downtown, They naturally assume, well, that's good for the local businesses because tons of people are there. But the truth is, it's not. Like a lot of the businesses, and I know this is probably controversial, but a lot of the businesses, maybe some like it, but I've heard the same thing from a few businesses that are like, when there are these massive events downtown, we die. Like there's no business coming in because everybody's going to that event. So I think it's probably a really great idea to move it to Waterworks Park, because now all the audience and all that huge draw coming into central Iowa, now they can go visit those businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. They can get to them easier. I'm sure some saw a good bump in business.
Yeah, sure.
Whenever there's an event like that, some of them like it. Some of them hate it. Probably most are somewhere in between.
Yeah.
But, it's just another complicating factor that we now don't have to deal with.
Right.
And we have the opportunity to just own a property for the weekend.
Absolutely. So you mentioned there are things you can do now at Waterworks Park and outgrowing the downtown space. What are some more things you can do that you've been wanting to do in the past?
Sure. We've got, 5 stages, which we always had multiple stages in the past, but these are going to be now more accessible and kind of more interesting. 4 of the stages are free this year, so really it's just the one main stage that's in a paid area. So we're going to be able to accommodate thousands of people to come to this event for free and really enjoy all kinds of bands, local, regional, and national. We're going to have a huge area that's set up with vendors and food trucks and fun activities. We've got one of the stages that's just for kids, so there's going to be kids programming throughout the days. So we're really encouraging it to be a family event. We have the Des Moines Beer Garden that is at Waterworks Park will be open and running, which if you haven't been to the beer garden, it is awesome. They've got these huge oak trees that you sit under and enjoy beer and live music and brats and stuff. That's open all the time, but that will also now be part of the festival. We're going to have a hammock village where people can come and just chill and hang in a hammock. There's lots of parking available. There's camping available now, so people can actually come and camp for the festival. It's just this park is huge. It's 3 times the size of Central Park in New York. So we have tons of property to work with. The stages aren't going to be all spread out all across the park. They'll be fairly close to each other, but there's just room to grow and room to do stuff and room to be creative.
Yeah. Now, how do you, because it's a ticketed event, so how do you do, like, you mentioned free stages.
Yeah.
Like, are those stages outside the ticketed area then? Like, how does that work?
Exactly. If you've ever been to a concert down at Waterworks Park, they usually put up a big fence around the big main stage, that Lauritsen Amphitheater. That area is going to be ticketed. That's where you'll need a ticket to get in to see our headliners and some of the big acts. But all the rest of the park is open and available for people to just come down and enjoy the festival. And there's going to be a lot to do outside of that fence.
And now you mentioned camping, so I want to touch on that briefly. This is a new thing, right?
It is.
And so it says on the website you have like charging areas, and are these like hookups for EVs and like campers and stuff?
Yes. Yeah. Well, we're going to have right now. Honestly, we don't have a lot of people signed up for camping, so I'm not sure what all is going to be set, but we will be there to accommodate what people bring. So we've got RV camping, car camping, tent camping available. And as those tickets get sold, we'll make sure we have the infrastructure to support them. There's definitely going to be bathrooms and all of that. And I think there will be activities in the campground too. Sorry, I don't have a lot of details about the camping area, but that's still coming together.
No, that's a brand new thing. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Exactly. I know, I was looking at the map. It's just absolutely massive. It's a big, there's a lot of growth since last year. It almost looks like it's just by space alone, you're tripling the size of this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we always had the free stages when it was downtown. They were kind of down the side streets, and that restricted flow a little bit. There was always like some real congestion getting from one stage to another. That's not going to be an issue now. Like I said, the stages and the activities aren't terribly spread out. So it's not like you're going to be walking 2 miles to get from here to there. But just we have the space to do more in the future now with this.
You mentioned I think you mentioned, or at least I read about it, the People's Stage. Can you tell me a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, it's the second biggest stage at the festival, and it is free. It's in the free area. And rather than have a corporate sponsor lined up with that stage, we just ask people to donate funds to support that stage, which helps us pay for production and staging and the bands that are going to be on that stage. So that is 100% supported by individuals who gave money. Their names will be printed on a banner at the stage. And we're calling it the People's Stage.
Got it. So it's like people can donate to it. And then are people like nominating their favorite bands to come to, or nominating themselves too?
No, it was more just supporting the free stage. All of the booking happened with a committee of people, all volunteers who are musicians and music enthusiasts right here from Central Iowa. Is a big team of people that kind of chose all the acts for all the stages.
Got it. Okay. And then you mentioned a hammock forest. I have other questions about this, but I have to know what a hammock. You just briefly touched on it, but I'm like, wait, hold on. What the heck is a hammock forest?
It's exactly what it sounds like. There's, we got a lot of trees at Waterworks Park, so,
Right.
So we're putting up a bunch of hammocks and just kind of inviting people to come and hang. If you need a chill spot, go choose a hammock.
What's the? Someone just decided that this sounds hilarious and fun, and we should do it.
Yup.
I absolutely love that. So it's obviously close enough to the. Is it close to the main stage or one of the free stages? Can you give us an idea of where this is?
It's so if you're familiar with the park and you're standing there looking at the main stage, it's off to your left side. There's this grove of trees there, and in the springtime they bloom with all these flowers. A lot of people come down there and take pictures and just go hang out because it's gorgeous. And so we're just we're putting up a bunch of hammocks and telling people there's a nice, maybe not quiet place to go chill because you'll be hearing the music, but
it is a music festival,
nice, comfortable place to take it all in.
And it's also an element, like you have an art market, vintage market, and food vendors there the whole time as well. Mm-hmm. How people are, it's like basically people are selling stuff and there's food. And is this fairly new as well, or have you had that the last couple of years?
No, we've had that. There's always been, vendors. I think we've got like 15 or 18 vendors who are just setting up their displays and everything from face painting and henna tattoos to jewelry and clothing and you name it. There's all kinds of stuff that you can just walk up and down and shop. They're all local people. So they'll, with the exception of some of those like T-Mobile and people like that are there to answer questions and help people with those kind of stuff. But mostly it's just like merchandise from local vendors. And then food trucks, lots and lots of food trucks and drinks available too.
So one of the things that's really fascinating is this silent stage. Yeah. And I don't know, I've heard about the silent discos or the silent clubs before. Is this somewhat similar to that? And can you describe what people will experience?
Yeah, so one of the concerns when you have multiple stages is sound bleed. If you have two stages going at once, you don't want to hear both of them. And that's what kind of inspired this. But yes, you're right. It's very much like a silent disco. You'll go into this stage area and be handed some headphones, but it's live music. There will be live musicians performing on stage. You pop on the headphones to listen to them. It's something really different. In fact, we've already gotten some national media around it because it's not something people are doing. And we've tested it out a little bit. I think it's going to be a really cool experience. It's a great way if you are someone who struggles with overstimulation. It's a great way to just kind of focus in on one thing and kind of be in a bubble, but still enjoy live music. And we think it's going to be really fun for people to experience that.
The website says it's like the first time this has ever been done. Is that true?
As far as our research shows, yes. Yeah, which, it's really interesting. And who knows, somebody out there might have tried it, but
right.
We've not heard about it. We couldn't find any record of it. So this might be certainly the first festival stage that has featured this.
And so everyone has their own set of headphones and their own, like basically the band mix. They're all plugged in. And it's wirelessly transmitting what they're playing in real time to all these headphones.
Exactly. And everybody around you is hearing it too, but you take off the headphones and, you might be able to hear the people singing, but that's about it.
So that was my next question is people walking by that don't have headphones on, it might look a little funny. Like you have someone singing, you maybe hear strumming of guitars, but not much else.
Right. Yeah. And when we think that the reaction will be, what the heck's going over there? I got to see this. And so they'll come over and check it out.
Yeah. So like maybe I'm getting too technical for you, but I'm a drummer for those that don't know. So there's always the debate in the drum community of acoustic drums, like the ones you see, the wooden ones, sometimes acrylic, but they have the heads on them, and you can hear, you can't really make them silent. And at concerts, you have plexi. They'll put plexi up between the drums and other instruments to prevent the onstage sound bleed.
Hmm.
But will the drummer be using like, or an acoustic guitar, for example? Those aren't really that loud though. So is the drummer like going to be using like like electronic drums then?
That's a good question. I know we had that discussion. I think we elected to go away from electronic drums. So I think they are going to be acoustic, um, probably a small kit, but honestly, I'm not, I'm not sure. So we might hear drums too, but again, they
Yeah,
won't be amplified, so they won't bleed through to the main stage.
right, exactly.
And again, it'll probably look and sound funny unless you have the headphones on, which we're hoping will attract people.
That is so freaking funny. I love that. Like a lot of people don't know that, yeah, drums are loud, but when you're competing against an amplified concert, they're not that
Right,
loud.
exactly.
So that is super
Unless of
funny.
course you're a keyboard player like me who stood next to the drums for years and years, which they're pretty loud if you're standing right there.
Oh, yes, they are. Yes, they are. I've hit my crash cymbal, a mere 2 feet from a keyboard's ears many a time. Of course, obviously wear earplugs, everybody. If you're a musician and you're doing that, I can tell you from experience, please, please, please wear earplugs. Make sure you protect your hearing. The
Here, here.
What most people don't know is professional musicians are wearing in-ear monitors anyway. Almost, these days almost all the time. So they're used to essentially playing live music with monitors and headphones in.
Yep. Yeah, that's become the standard almost. We used to have the big speaker laying on the floor blasting up in our faces, but
Yeah, yeah.
in-ears are now the smart way to do it, and it sounds better, it feels better for the musicians, and you're right. Yeah, they're all kind of used to this.
I do like the aspect. I had an ear injury a while ago. That's a whole nother story. Maybe we'll do a show on ear injuries in the future. But I had an ear injury, and so concerts for me, I always go, and I think generally, I think people should do this anyway, not just me. But I always take filters with me. And
Yep.
so, for those that don't know, filters are like not earplugs. They allow some sound to pass through, but they essentially lower the decibel. It does change the audio quality a little bit. It does throw off your levels, but I always take those when I'm going to a concert. So for me, people with sensory issues, auditory issues, it's kind of a different, like, it's kind of appealing to that crowd, like gives them a new way to experience. Now, for me, I just take my headphones. I'm fine. It's fine. It's fine for me,
Mhm.
But this is, I mean, for me, someone with like an ear injury, I'm like, this is kind of cool. This might give me a different way to experience a live concert. Is that kind of, without sound bleed, is that also one of the things that you're hoping people experience?
Yes. Yeah, I think especially for people who are sensitive to a lot of stimulation or to sound, this is a really good way to experience some live music. And, I know some people avoid that setting because of that. So hopefully this is a new option for them to try out too. Because on the main stage and at the free stages, we do have full PA, and it's a big sound system like we're used to at concerts. So this gives them a
Yeah.
chance to step out of that if they need to.
Yeah, I went to a Lucas Nelson concert in Nashville like a couple months ago, and we were in the back, and holy cow, it was loud. It was so, I mean, I had my earplugs in, and I was like, I know my hearing is safe because I had my plugs in, but even with my plugs in, it was pretty loud. So I was just like, oh my word, people be careful.
Getting Lucas in Nashville, though, is good for you. That's awesome.
Right? Lucas Nelson in Nashville, and we were in the Ryman Auditorium. So it doesn't.
I love that place.
It doesn't get more Nashville than that.
No kidding.
So you kind of dropped this earlier. I want to talk about this a bit, but you mentioned it is like volunteer effort makes this thing happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think a lot of people understand that 8035 is a nonprofit and you have volunteers that run this thing. Why are people donating and why are people volunteering for this?
Exactly right. Yeah, this is the whole thing is, excuse me, put on by the Des Moines Music Coalition, and our mission really is to foster a vibrant music scene in Central Iowa. Our goal is to make Des Moines a nationally recognized music city, and I think we're well on our way. 8035 has been a big part of that. But yeah, because we're a nonprofit, we ask our volunteers to do a lot of heavy lifting, especially around this festival. So we've got, a massive team of people who just love music and really care about our live music scene, who've been putting in hours and hours of work to make this a really great experience for people.
Now, is it straight up just like we like music and want more of it? Is it straight up we like live music and want more of it here? Or does it go a little deeper than that?
It goes a lot deeper. It's really about making sure that local artists and musicians find an environment that is receptive to them across multiple genres. Making sure that we are setting up an environment that is artist friendly. Making sure that our local venues, from a tiny bar in a tiny neighborhood to Wells Fargo Arena, also have a collaborative and a strong environment for supporting the music scene. And then making sure that music professionals, people who are in even podcast production like you are, Justin, or people who work in recording studios, lighting engineers, sound engineers, can actually make a career of it and find a living here in Central Iowa. And of course, kids, students, learning about and appreciating music and what it brings to their lives. So really, it's those four pillars: artists, venues, students, and professionals that we try to support at the Des Moines Music Coalition.
Yeah, like I said earlier, singer, I'm a drummer, I was in choir, took music lessons, took piano lessons. I tried for 6 years, I still failed. Piano is still my favorite instrument, but also the most frustrating. Like, yeah. I just, I don't know. I could never really, it never really clicked for me, but drums, definitely. I feel
you there. I'm a keyboard player, but I keep buying guitars thinking that's going to do it for me. They look great on my wall. But,
good luck.
Still not a good guitarist.
Good luck. Is Iowa, like, I don't know. Iowa's never really a state that I've found to be a music state. Now, it's not a dig. It's just not something I feel like from a community aspect we care that much about. Like, we have musicians here. We're not against the musicians, but if anybody were to think of Iowa, even Iowans themselves, I don't think anyone would think Iowa is a music state. So is this kind of a effort to reverse that? And have you seen the attitude towards live music and music production shift?
Yeah, it's a pretty big, audacious goal to have Iowa, and especially Central Iowa, thought of nationally as a music city. But if you look at the music scene in this community 25 years ago compared to today, it is starkly different and better. And I know firsthand, I was playing in bands 30 years ago here, and it was hard to get a show. It was hard to find anywhere to play. And now you can find live music any night of the week here in this town. 8035, the music festival, I think has done a lot to put us on the map from a festival standpoint, but we've had amazing other things like Hinterland come up to help bolster that and position our community as a music community. We have venues that are thriving now, and people like Sam Summers, who's done just an amazing job in our community of building out venues and supporting live music and bringing in national acts that people want to see. It's just a vastly different and better live music scene here than it was years ago. So we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good to hear. And you are right. That's a good point. I never thought about that, but it's really not hard to find live music in Central Iowa in general. There seem to be a lot of bands and live music available now. And you're right. You're totally right. That was not a thing. Like, that just was not a thing. It was almost impossible to find that about 10, maybe even 15 years ago. Yeah. At 8035, I always, like, traditionally kind of think of it as like a rock show, but it's not. There are hip hop artists, there's rock, and then I think there's even like the Bellin Quartet is there. So like, do you have kind of a genre rundown? Are you trying to hit pretty much every genre?
Yeah, our goal is to be diverse. not only in genre, but in the acts. You know, a lot of times we'll hear people say, I've never heard of most of these bands. And it's like, well, that's a good thing. We're trying to expose you to talent that you might not know about, and maybe you'll find a new favorite. You know, one of the stories we hear people tell all the time is, I saw Lizzo on a free stage at 8035 5 years ago, and then she blew up, you know, and I got to see her first. You never know which one of these acts is going to be the next huge thing. We have a really, really diverse lineup. It does lean rock, I think, although the hip hop side of it has gotten really popular and really big. Our big headliner on Saturday night is Killer Mike, who swept the Rap Grammys this year.
Right, he's huge.
He's huge, yeah, and you know he was with Run the Jewels, which had, you know, he's kind of rap royalty anyway.
Yeah, he really is.
Now his solo act is going huge, and then you know OK Go on Friday night, you know,
also huge.
They were
name.
a big deal a while ago, but their live show is crazy. It's so much fun. It's this high energy thing. They did these videos that people talk about all the time. They got famous for the treadmill video, if anybody remembers that. But you know, they're another nationally known, very popular, multi-Grammy winning act that we're going to have right here in Des Moines.
Yeah, they really. I almost guarantee that if you don't know who OK Go is, you probably actually do know who they are, because their YouTube videos and little clips of the YouTube videos have gone viral over and over and over again. You mentioned the treadmill one, which was and they were like, at least the first ones were like super low budget and just lit on fire. And but then a lot of people have probably seen that Zero Gravity one too. Oh yeah. And they actually went up in a special airplane that astronauts use to train in for zero gravity. And this basically, from what I understand, I'm not an Air Force person or anything, but from how I understand it, they go up in this plane and they dive bomb the thing. And then you have this experience of being zero gravity. And so if you were to look, you know, zoom out like, you know, hundreds of miles and look at the trajectory of the plane, it's basically a roller coaster. It's going up and down and up and down and up and down. And so they did a music video with this zero gravity experience, which is just bizarre to watch. These days you look at it and you swear it's CGI, but actually they were up in the air in a zero gravity environment shooting this crazy music video. So that's kind of how they made really their name.
Yep, they've got a couple that have these huge, elaborate, like Rube Goldberg machine, single shot through, you know, these massive warehouse full of paint guns and all this stuff. Yeah, just jump on YouTube and look up OK Go. You'll be amazed at what they've done.
They are wild. Before I let you go, let's talk about logistics a little bit for Iowans that want to come by. You mentioned the camping. It sounds like there's availability there. It's in Waterworks Park. So how would you recommend people get there? I know you have some parking on site, like VIP parking, so like not a ton. What's the most efficient way to park and get themselves down, get down there?
So first of all, maps and FAQs and all kinds of information online at 80-35.com. As far as if you're familiar with Waterworks Park, there's kind of a main entrance off of Fleur Drive. That is not going to be open. We're going to send people down George Flagg Parkway, and there'll be lots of signs and you know, directional things pointing where to go. But we do have a lot of parking, actually. There's paid parking on the grounds, and then all along George Flagg Parkway, they'll be able to park there as well. But I guess my best advice is to follow the signs when you get down there. It's going to be open all day, so people will be coming and going. We're pretty confident that we've got the traffic flow really well managed, so I don't anticipate any major traffic backups or anything like that. So it should be fairly easy to come and go.
Awesome. And how many people do you expect this weekend?
You know, that's the magic question. We've had 20,000, 30,000 people in the past at 8035. We know that there's a lot of questions and skepticism about the move to the park, so we're expecting it to be down a little bit. You know, again, I can't emphasize enough how much I think moving to the park is going to be great for everybody, and a real improvement on the experience over previous years. So I hope we get those big numbers. We want to show Central Iowa what we've got. This is going to be really special.
All right, and it is. I want to go ahead and have you give the website out so people know, but it goes, I believe this is right, Friday, July 12th through Sunday, July 14th. Is that correct?
No, we shut down at 11:45 on Saturday night.
Oh, on Saturday.
So it's just the 12th and the 13th.
Got it. And what is the website for people to get tickets and maybe get a camp spot?
The number's 80-35.com.
80-35.com. Andy TeBockhorst, the executive director of 8035. Thank you so much for coming on the Iowa podcast. I really appreciate it.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity. Justin, I've known you for years, and I really love what you do, and hopefully your audience will come see this. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Glad to have you on the show. And to my fellow Iowans, Iowa expats, and Iowans at heart, thanks for listening and subscribing to the Iowa podcast.